Hello, this is the Vapes4Vets podcast. We have a very special treat today. I'm joined by Mike and Brooke Cooley. They are married, both combat veterans, and they're here to tell us their story. How you doing today, guys?
Great, Jesse. Thank you so much for all of this, for inviting us.
Very well, thank you. Good to talk with you.
So, first question I gotta ask: how'd you guys meet?
Oh,
That's a really interesting. I can make it kind of short story too.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no, take your time.
So Mike was an MP, military police officer, and I worked human resources and was attached to his unit, the 148th. And so in human resources there's a lot of facets to it, but one of those being if you get married, if you get divorced, if you have a child, you come to me and we update all your information in our various systems.
hmm
And he was getting divorced. And he came in and I'd never seen this guy before, and he was incredibly attractive. Immediately. It was immediate. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah,
So
you're pretty smoking too.
thank you. Thank you. So we he submitted his paperwork to me. I took care of everything that needed to be taken care of paperwork wise. And he had overheard a conversation I was having with my supervisor. My car was acting up at the time, and I was really considering trading it. And he had just bought a vehicle, so he gave me a recommendation as to like where to go and who to talk to at what
Yeah.
dealership. And he gave me the phone number of one of the dealers, one of the car dealers, and
Yeah.
I waited how many days?
It was about 2 days.
2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days.
It was probably 2.
I think it was about
I
two.
waited 2 days, and then I called him back. I called Mike, and I told him that, I had lost the number to
the
the
dealership.
dealership, and that
Did I have it?
yeah. And so then, because I'm really good at engaging people in conversation,
Yeah.
I
Little did I know.
yeah, it's true. I'm gonna you. So I start this conversation, and we're talking and we're talking, and the next thing you know,
She invited me
I
over.
I did shamelessly. Shamelessly.
Yep.
And here we are, it's about 9-8.
Yeah.
Because Isaac's what, 7 and some change.
Yeah.
We've known each other and been together since about a year and 6 weeks prior to that.
Yeah.
That's pretty precise.
Well, so the precision of the date comes from I'm actually the one, unfortunately, that cut Mike's orders, sending him to Iraq on his last tour. And we had only been together, we've been dating for 6 weeks
Yeah.
prior to that ball dropping. And so I cut orders. That was truly one of the worst days I've still experienced ever.
Yeah.
Was knowing, because I had only been back about 3 months,
hmm
and I knew what the tempo was like. I knew that it wasn't really good at the time, and so that the environment in Iraq really wasn't good at the time. And so I dreaded every second, every keystroke, typing his orders out and printing them off and doing what we need to do with them. But yeah. So we knew each other 6 weeks before he left for a year. And when he got home from Iraq, he got me pregnant the first night that he was back.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have this beautiful son now who
Oh,
is
he's
7 years
awesome.
old. And so our 7-year-old child, and so you figure I'm pregnant for about 9 months. It was 8. And
Yeah.
then
And
I had
then
known you like the year prior, and the 6 weeks prior to that year you were gone. So it just kind of falls in line like that.
Yeah.
You obviously maintained quite a lot of communication during that year in Iraq.
We maintained communication as best as we could. At the time, there was not really there really wasn't much. Facebook wasn't really a thing yet. This was 2008, and so Facebook really wasn't a thing. MySpace was occasionally.
Yahoo IM is.
Yeah, Yahoo IM was the only thing that gave instant chat. The phones where he was at were often not operating, so we did occasionally get sat phone calls and things like that, but that was it. We maintained really, I mean, the time that we were able to communicate, yes, those were the best times. There were times where he'd be gone for several days, and I get incredibly nervous after about day 3 of not hearing anything back or not knowing where they were. I had a friend of mine who worked in Intel at the time, so I would, unofficially inquire occasionally as to how he was doing. I didn't care to know where he was at, what was going on, just has anything been reported, is he okay? And that was how we lived for a year with you gone, was just kind of, phone call to phone call and email to email.
Yeah, yeah.
And Brooke, you had gone on a tour yourself?
I had gone in 2007 to Iraq. We were a bit east of Baghdad on a forward operating base. So yeah, I was gone the year before he left, and then I was only back a few months when I met him, and then 6 weeks later I cut his orders sending him there. So.
And Mike, what kind of duties does a MP have in Iraq? Or did say?
Well, it depends.
It depends. It's
because you were a canine handler, so it was
that time around was completely different than my first 2 deployments. I was a canine handler. I had a military working dog trained to detect explosives and also trained for bite work, for attack work, and so it was a very different deployment than my prior 2. I was embedded with special forces teams. I worked alongside a Navy SEAL team that was based there as well, and it was a very unique deployment, a very unique experience, and probably unlike the other 2, by far the most memorable and also the most impactful, both in a positive and negative way. It's definitely the one that really set off my PTSD when I came home. That one, yeah.
That one was the worst.
That one was probably the worst, the hardest. Yeah. So I had an explosive detector dog, and I basically searching for explosives, roadside IEDs, improvised explosive devices, vehicle IEDs, walking down the roads. Basically, it would be this is where we need to go, and we don't know if it's safe. So get out in front of us with your dog and see if you can find something that's supposed to go boom. Before it goes boom.
Yep.
And so I put my dog on leash and start walking down the roads.
You put a lot of trust into that dog's nose. I tell you what.
Oh, absolutely. You have to.
You have to.
Yeah. You have to trust it with your life and everybody else's lives. Not only that, the people around you.
Yeah.
Because you're responsible for their safety. For their lives.
Disregarding your own.
Yeah. And we would do if there were soldiers that were captured, We do missions searching for them, using the dog's noses to detect the human scent.
He was really well trained.
Yeah, he was incredibly trained. Yeah.
He was a great dog.
What was his name?
Dasty. D-A-S-T-Y. Dasty. Nasty Dasty.
Yep.
He was a 110-pound German Shepherd.
Wow.
He was a beast of a dog.
Oh, so
I was
big.
so terrified of that dog the first time I met him. And we never really became friends until I got pregnant with Isaac.
Yeah, once he smelled your belly, then he was okay.
Then he was fine with me.
Yeah.
He wasn't until then.
After you got out of the service, like the dog was released with you?
No, he remained and worked for a little while longer, and then he actually was able to retire with one of his previous handlers and become a house dog before he passed.
Yep.
So that was really, really nice that he was able to finish out his years hanging out on somebody's couch in their living room.
Being a pup.
Just being a puppy. That was a nice ending.
That's what my dog does. I just don't feel like he's earned it though. After hearing that story.
Now they do the same thing, and so it's like, well, never mind. They're all just house pets.
So what's the distance between one of these IEDs and where the dog can smell it? Like how long in advance do you?
It's variant.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of variables. A lot of things can play into that.
How deep it's buried.
How deep it's buried. If it's buried, how strong the odor is. How much of it there is.
What the odor is.
If there's wind blowing, what direction it's blowing in. Are there other weather factors at play?
The commotion going on around it.
What's the temperature? The variables are just innumerable. But Dasty responded downrange on a rocket cache. He showed a change of behavior, which is I noticed him catching the scent in the air and kind of directing his head from about 5 to 6 feet away, but it was buried 2 feet in the sand. So that's pretty good. It was a big cache. It was a big cache. It was about 10, 12 rockets.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty decent cache, and he was able to find it, but it was about 120 degrees.
Yep.
And we had been already working for a couple of hours.
He was tired.
He was tired and he was hot, and I had put a cool vest on him.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people back home would send these awesome donations and things for the dogs, and they had these cool vests. They would have these gel packs that the dogs could wear, and it helped cool down their core temperature, help them work a little bit longer.
Because 126 degrees in the middle of the day.
Yeah, you can get a dog to work for about 10 minutes before it decides it's done. And then there's
wearing a winter coat, pretty much.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Once the dog decides it's done working, there's no convincing it to work.
No. Once they're done, they lay down. They're done. They're like, and I'm over it. I don't even care anymore.
Once you're out of dog treats, that's it.
Exactly.
I'm out of ammo.
Basically, when he's out of fucks, when there's no fucks given, it's just like, and he's done.
So when he would detect one of these IEDs or explosives, would he bark or would he make like a body movement?
He would non-aggressively respond with a sit. Or if it was really under something, he would lay down. Yeah, with an explosive detector dog, you don't want them like scratching at it or jumping on it or anything like that for obvious reasons. But so they train them to just sit. Yeah.
And I'm sure for tactical reasons you don't want them barking either.
Yeah, exactly.
For what he got
for noise
used
discipline. For what he got used for, it
he-
wouldn't have really mattered for explosives.
No, but some of the other work that he did, he was really good at being quiet.
He was. His silent responses were incredible.
He was.
Yeah.
So a question I got about the United States Forces. Are you allowed to marry another member while you're still serving, or date other members?
It is circumstantial. It is circumstantial. So if we're both single and we're both unmarried, it's not an issue unless, now what they don't like to do is cross enlisted ranks with officers' ranks. And so there's fraternization rules that exist between that, but at the same time, do we know of couples? Do we know of people who have been married? Yes.
Yeah.
And did it cross that? Yes. At the same time, was there any repercussion? No.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an unwritten rule that gets broken, or it's a written rule that gets broken a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was at Bragg, they if there were couples that wanted to get married, they would at least separate them into different platoons.
Yeah. That's what.
Just so that they weren't under the same leadership, or so that they couldn't influence the other's career positively or negatively.
Right.
So they tend to keep us in separate sections.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, it worked out for Mike and I because we did not do, even though I was attached to the MPs and I was working HR for them at the time, the only thing we had in common with supervision was a first sergeant and a commander.
Yeah.
And they didn't care about that. That was fine with them. Mike worked in K9 and we weren't even in the same building. We didn't have the same leadership. None of it was the same.
Yeah, none of it crossed.
Yeah.
Now, does getting married, like if two non-commissioned members get married, does that prohibit one or both of them from commissioning?
Actually, I think at that point, no, I don't think it does.
No.
I think when they first started the programs that you could go from non-commissioned to commissioned, it was called green to gold. And when they first started doing that, there were a lot of restrictions, and there were you couldn't have children at the time. You had to either be single or be married, but you couldn't have kids. That wasn't allowed. And then a lot of people complained, and eventually things changed.
Things changed because I had a guy that was in our unit that ended up going green to gold, and he was married and had kids, so they definitely changed and relaxed that.
Yeah.
And then same with warrant.
Warrant was completely different.
Yeah.
Warrant officers are a class all their own. Nobody really knows what they do. Honestly, I'm not even they know what they do.
They know what they do.
Because they do it really, really well, but nobody else really seems to know what they do because they're not commissioned officers, but at the same time they are given the exact same respect as far as courtesies go, military courtesies go. They're sirs, they're ma'ams.
They're more so. They're
exactly Misters and Misses though. I did like that they relaxed that.
Their subject knowledge.
Yeah, they are the subject matter experts, but at the same time, again, they're like ghosts. Nobody really knows what they do.
They show up whenever they want.
Like, hey, I'm here. And then you look over your shoulder 5 minutes later, they're gone.
Yeah.
And you don't see them for a week. So,
well, as long as they know what they do.
Exactly.
And you guys were a part of the Janine Sagert's film From Shock to Awe?
Yes, we were. Mike's was planned and intentional.
Yeah, yours was.
Mine was the cause and effect of him, of you. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
So she came to see you, and then because you were there, you just kind of joined in.
No. So Janine and Luke came out here, and they were filming Mike prior to the ayahuasca ceremonies before he went down to Florida for that. So they they did a couple, was it like a day and a half or something like that up here before you left?
Yeah, they filmed us for about a day and a half, and then followed along with me to Florida to Soul Quest, and
then did some follow-up since we've had that.
They did some follow-up filming since then.
But during that follow-up filming on Mike, some of that, Janine came to me and she said, hey, you know, we have this opportunity. We have the ability to be able to send you to do this. And so I was gifted. It wasn't given. I was gifted. I was blessed with the opportunity to go down and do psycho-guided MDMA. And it has truly been one of the most positive experiences I've had in my entire life. Like, I've had 3 babies. That's a pretty profound thing for all women, for any woman. But at the same time, this would be right up there with it. This would be experience number 4 that was life-altering.
Could you tell us about the experience?
Absolutely. So, pardon me for exhaling there. Sorry about that.
Not a problem.
We're enjoying this conversation a lot. We're enjoying it Rocky Mountain High style.
Oh yeah.
Legalized state.
So I went out and I was away from my family for the first time in
years.
Good Lord, I don't know how many years. So I was nervous, but at the same time I knew everybody was going to be fine here at the house. So I went and I was gone for 3 days. Was it 3 or 4?
It was
I don't even
4
remember.
days.
Yeah. The first day that I got there, I hadn't seen Janine and Luke in so long, and so it was so great. But at the same time, I was chomping at the bit because I was freaking out because I didn't know what I was about to get myself into. I was like, you know, maybe this wasn't really a good idea. Like, who does MDMA for reasons that aren't even included with that? Like, come on. Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't there to just, like, hit the rave scene and listen to some crappy techno music. It was just like, oh, Lord, what am I getting myself into? So I pretty much didn't sleep that night, and the next day we get up and we head out to where this all took place, and I met the people who led me through. They're both psychologists, I believe, and they're amazing people. They're also a married couple, and they are incredible. I like to refer to Mark as Hannibal because I'm an open book outwardly, but there's a lot that I will hold inside. There's a lot I will not talk about. And within minutes of meeting him, he had me at such ease. They both did. But they had me at such ease that I was just willing. I just kind of dropped my barriers for a little bit. I felt comfortable there. I felt really good where I was at. And I was like, okay, just give this everything you've got, because you've tried so much and survived so much by this point. Let's see if you can actually let go of some of that bullshit that holds you back, that anger, the pissed off all the time, quick, hyper vigilant person, and let who you are trying to be come through a little bit more. Or if not, like, a whole lot more. I wanted a whole lot more, but I would settle for a little bit at that point. I was like, I'd settle for a little bit more. So I did 3 separate sessions in succession, though, and it was so incredible to be able to go inside of your own head. It wasn't hallucinogenic. It was not like an acid trip. It wasn't like mushrooms or anything like that, from what we understand. Like, it's not like that. It was very introspective. It went inside. You were inside yourself, just kind of walking yourself through your own head. And I literally could picture myself in just full battle rattle, in my uniform, standing on, like, in the desert, on the fob, and I had to, in my head, just approach that person and be like, look, I appreciate every set of skills you have given me, because God knows those skills, they kept me alive for so long. But at the same time, it was the anger, it was the part of the soldier that's always pissed off. It's the part that has to be angry, that has to be able to survive, that has to be able to do what they have to do to get home. Mm-hmm. And so, it was like, let me let go of some of that and just let me move forward. Thank you for everything you gave me. I appreciated it, but it's time. It's just time for me to just move forward and go on. And I had my eyes closed while that was happening, like while all this was playing out in my head. It was kind of like walking through a dream, like just a very vivid dream. And I opened my eyes, and I just remember looking up and looking at everybody in the room, because the film crew was there, and my hosts and hostess well, my host and hostess were there, and I remember looking up, and they're looking at me, and they just have these looks on their faces like, holy cow, what just happened? They're smiling. They knew something at that point that I didn't even know yet. And they all knew, like, that there was some sort of transition that was going on. And I just opened my eyes, and I just was like, oh my God. I said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, I said, oh my God, probably 50,000 times. Because there were no other words. It was just like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. That was incredible. That was amazing. Like, what just happened here? And I remember feeling that presence of the soldier that has been, with me and who was me. But at the same time, I was fighting myself, an internal battle between how much of your soldier do you let out every day? In what situations do you do that? And in what situations do you have to try to maintain like a quote unquote normal person? And, it was a huge struggle, because we just get pissed off for the smallest fucking things. Like, we get angry at everything. So, to be able to push that part of me aside, to be able to cast that off and just say, okay, you know what? From here on out, you're still going to have the ability to react. You're still going to have the ability to situationally be aware of everything going on around you, but you don't have to be hyper vigilant. You do not have to be angry. You can do this calmly, like not the type of calm that is normal for who you are. Or for who you've become. This is something where you literally just don't get pissed off and worked up and blow up and freak out and throw things and punch walls and break your hand and
all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Chuck cupcakes at a truck that got too close to you. He did that. He threw cupcakes.
Oh, I knew there was a story there. I was like, is that a Colorado saying?
No, we walked out of the grocery store. He was pushing the basket, and a truck passed right in front of him, just completely ignored that he was a pedestrian in the walkway. And he got angry. Didn't you punch the truck?
Yeah.
Yeah. He punched the truck and then throws the cupcakes that were supposed to come home with him for our daughter. He chucks some cupcakes at the truck as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny now looking back on it. It's kind of hilarious, but it's really hilarious.
It's pretty hilarious looking back on it, yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I remember that time you threw cupcakes. You're such an asshole.
Did you use them all, or did you save a couple of them?
He saved a couple.
Oh, that's good.
Yep, he brought home, I think, half of a dozen.
Yeah.
Half a dozen's not bad.
No, half of a half.
Yeah.
So there was only 3.
Oh.
Family of 5.
Well, I guess you didn't get one then, hey Mike?
Oh, I didn't need one.
He did.
So Brooke, after you take the medicine,
Hmm.
are like what goes on around you? Like are you sitting in a room by yourself? Are they with you?
So they're with me, but they were so wonderful about it. They said, if it's too loud or if it's too much, and they were completely quiet, which was great. But they said, if our presence becomes too much, just let us know and we will absolutely back away. Like they would have walked into the other room and done the best they could have filming wise. I think if it would have just been it coming down to me saying, "Hey, I need like a lot of space right now," they would have vacated in a heartbeat. They were wonderful. I had this beautiful room that was it was a living room and it overlooks a mountainous lake. There's a lake, there's mountains right there, and it was absolutely beautifully scenic. There were clouds. I remember the clouds rolling in, right, but well, it wasn't right before I guess that I started taking it. It had kind of been misty, pretty much that whole day, and just kind of gray and gloomy. But it looked really cool. Like it still looked amazing and very quiet, very quiet. And so it was really comfortable. I just kind of laid out on a couch, um, and they just kind of sat around me and brought me the medicine, and I took the first dose. And I remember sitting there for almost half an hour, I think it was. It was like 30 minutes, and there was absolutely nothing happening. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm going to be that person because that happens with me sometimes. I was like, I'm going to be that person. This is not going to work. And within a few minutes of those thoughts, and me trying to, in my head, I was so trying to be positive, and I'm really not, at that point, I was not good at it. And so I'm sitting there in my own head going, this isn't going to work. This is going to suck because it's not even, you're here, you've got this perfect environment and nothing's going to happen. And then this little tiny piece of me was like, well, if you just calm down and just breathe, it's going to be okay. We'll see where it goes. And sure enough, within a few minutes of that, it started to take effect. And I remember just laying forward. I kind of grabbed onto a pillow and I just laid my head down and I closed my eyes and I could see all these situations and scenarios playing out in my head, much like a dream, except a dream that you're very much in control of. And so I'm walking through what's going on in my head with the psychiatrist or psychologist that was there. And I'm talking to him and I'm telling him, this is what I'm seeing, this is what's going on. And based off those little things that I would say to him, he could say to me, he'd say, okay, so basically you're fighting within yourself. You've got like two of you. There's the soldier you, and then there's the you that is a mom that wants a job, that wants to be able to do this stuff outside of what the soldier hampers me from doing. And he couldn't have hit it harder on the head. It was like, yes, that exactly is actually what's going on. And yes. And I remember him looking at me. Some of it's kind of fuzzy, but not like uncomfortably fuzzy. And I remember him looking at me and saying, can you give that soldier a hug? Can you tell her that you love her? Can you tell her thank you for everything that she's given you? But at this point, it's your turn. And I had never, ever even thought of it that way. I never considered how much of a split there was between the two me's that are, fighting around in this one body. Because it was the soldier that predominantly always came out. It's just the asshole. That's, it's the asshole that always came out. It's the hypervigilant one that never wanted to leave the house. It was, I can't stand grocery stores and I don't want to go here. And I could be holed up in the house for weeks at a time, not leave and not care. Like, not care that I'm not leaving. That's fine with me. And at the same time, there was a point where it was like, no, you do want more, but how do you go about getting more when you can't have more because of who you are? Yeah. So it was to be told that, to be said to, hey, can you do this? Can you go inside your head, go inside your heart, and can you thank that soldier for everything? Thank her for keeping you alive. She did that. She kept you alive. Like, you survived Iraq. You survived more or less, I think me surviving everything that came after Iraq was even more huge than Iraq itself. But, he said, it was like, here's this soldier. She's kept you alive to this point. But I realized that she's also become toxic. Like, there are things about her that are toxic to me and who I am and who I want to be. So how do so I can go inside my head, and there I was standing in uniform, and there was the me that was on massive doses of MDMA that was standing there giving this soldier a hug and just thanking her for everything and appreciating all of it, but letting her know that, it's time. Let me have your skill sets. Let me keep my ability to react, but don't take from me everything that I know I still have. I still have fire in me. I can still do this, but I can't do that, if you've got a stronghold on my neck.
That's truly an amazing story. Now that you're home and you've done that process, what do you guys use for medication?
Cannabis.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you guys, like, you live in Colorado. It's been legal there since January 2014, so it's obviously pretty easy for you guys to find what you need.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
I think we've actually gotten to a point now I'm actually quite proud of, that there are more medical dispensaries. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty certain there are actually now more medical dispensaries in this city than there are Starbucks and McDonald's combined.
Really?
Yes, which is huge. That was huge. That came out, I think it was about 2 years ago they came out with that one. Yeah.
It may have. Yeah. I don't know if it's still there, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's wonderful. I mean, it's commonplace to just be going somewhere in the city and you're just passing a dispensary. We actually have 2 gas stations that are gas and grass gas stations. They're gas stations / dispensaries. So you can fill up your car and then go ahead and get your cannabis and continue on about your day. It's pretty interesting.
I think the only thing that could make it better is if they do drive-through dispensaries.
Oh, I was just gonna ask.
Actually, oh my gosh, yeah.
If they're already beating McDonald's, they might as well just take it right over.
Absolutely.
You roll up to a microphone and what can I get you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need like an 1/8 of that Cali Mist. Can you throw me 3/4 or a half of the black Afghani?
Right? Can I get a 1/4 of Purple Kush?
That, yes. That'd be amazing. It's like better. That's way better than McDonald's.
Yeah.
Do you want fries with that?
Right? As long as it's loaded.
Right?
Cheese and bacon and all the fixings and sides and toppings, and then give me a big gulp to go with it.
That's what McDonald's and Starbucks got to do to take it back. They got to be exactly. McDonald's and grass.
I'm telling you, the Girl Scouts out here in Colorado have wised up to this fact.
Oh, absolutely.
So during Girl Scout cookie sales time, we actually have some that, because there are some parents who are dispensary owners or employees and they will allow their kids to set up out in front of the store. They don't get to set up in the store.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
because of that, you can walk in, buy an eighth of pot, or if you spend like, I don't know, like $30 to $50, if you spend something like $30 to $50 while you're shopping, then they'll give you a free box of cookies on your way out the door. And then the dispensary just reimburses the Girl Scout. So these little ladies are geniuses.
They need to go on Shark Tank.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yes.
We have guaranteed business.
That's like a no-fail situation. Who the heck goes into a dispensary where there's Girl Scout cookies right out front and walks by like, no, it's cool. I don't even want any.
Right?
Like,
No.
are you kidding me?
They
That's
don't even got to go hunting to push the cookies.
Right?
That's perfect prior planning. Like,
It's amazing. That's excellent marketing on their part.
You know what? They got to take it one step further is have a Girl Guide Scout cookies vending machine on the way out.
Oh, see, there you go.
You insert your coupon from the store and it gives you a box right there.
I'm telling you right now, give it another year or two. With the way it's going, give it another year or two. It'll happen.
So I know in America, vets aren't reimbursed for any of their medical cannabis. What is the average cost for what you need to combat your symptoms?
Let's see. Well, I just went to the dispensary today.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through about 2 grams of wax a week.
Yeah.
And I got a good sale today. They give me a veteran discount at the dispensary that I go to, so that's pretty awesome. That does help. It shaves a little bit off, a 10% off. It usually takes care of some of the taxes.
Ounces equal pounds, right?
For medical. Hey, it does. Absolutely. Every little bit adds up. And I'm so thankful to the dispensaries that do recognize that veterans seek this out for help and that they honor that with a discount. It's tremendous. So let's see. I got 2 grams of wax, a medicated chocolate bar.
That one's mine.
200 milligrams. And then I got a quarter ounce. No, I got a half ounce of shake to make some canna caps with for bedtime. And it came to about $130.
And in all honesty, I mean, but that's the thing is
really good.
That's actually not that bad because
that's really good.
That half ounce of shake.
It was on sale. It was $30 a quarter.
Right, but at the same time, like what I'm saying is, we'll make it into canna caps.
Yeah.
And I'll probably get a solid 100 at least. Normally, I go through an entire bag of capsules when I do that. So 100 capsules.
Mm-hmm.
That's about a month's worth of capsules for the 2 of us.
Yeah.
To help you get to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
it's really my wax. It's the concentrates that
they are expensive, but at the same time they're much more potent.
Yeah, I need the potency of them to be able to work.
If he just used like grams of grams of dry flour, it would be like a half an ounce a day.
Yeah, is
what you'd need
to
almost.
Get it,
just to maintain.
Yeah,
instead.
Absolutely.
So and that comes with a $60 price tag. Typically about a half an ounce, $60.
Yeah.
So.
That's like 300 Canadian.
God dang, we need to move to Canada.
No, that's a currency joke. Apparently not that funny.
Hey, that's awesome.
A question I got for you guys. Like we were discussing before, pharmaceuticals are covered most of the time by some sort of insurance if you have PTSD and they prescribe you pharmaceutical pills, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Now, do you think a lot of veterans are choosing not to use medical cannabis and just stick with the prescription because of the bill that they have to take on?
I think that's probably a huge factor in a lot of cases. Most veterans that are in a position where they are needing to use something to treat PTSD or depression or anxiety or any of, myriad of things, they do not have the financial means to afford cannabis because or the amount that they need because of the fact that they cannot work due to their disabilities. So it's this, yeah, okay, you can get all the meds you want for free or for a copay,
but a really low
all the
copay.
pills, an incredibly low copay, couple dollars here,
yeah,
couple dollars there.
A month to $3, depending on the medication, could be as low, if there is a copay, as $3.
As $3. And you're looking at $500 to $600 a month in some cases for cannabis.
Yep, easily.
For what veterans need, and that's
the cost difference is huge.
That's tremendous.
But the other part of it, I think, because it's not just that one thing. It's not just cost. The other major factor is the fact that so many states are not even medically legal yet, and the ones that are don't have the types of policies in place to even support really dispensaries opening up. Like there are states that are medically legal, but they don't have dispensaries. They don't have any way to dispense.
Or there's one in the entire state.
Yeah, people don't have a way to get to it, and when they do, that dispensary doesn't have what they need.
Yeah.
Do a lot of vets cross state lines to get what they need?
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's amazing. You guys are United States of America, but you're kind of divided in a lot of different...
But we're all separate.
It is. Yeah, each state is very much divided.
It is.
And its own entity.
Well, I mean, for example, I was born and raised in Nebraska, and they are not a forward state. They're not forward thinking. They're very Midwest values, which, I mean, truly, I'm very glad to have come from. But the view they have on cannabis, like when my parents, when they first found out that I was going to come off all my psych meds, that I was being prescribed by all these army doctors, when I first told them, I was like, look, I'm done with these meds. I'm going to stop taking them, and I'm going to try medical pot. And they were like, I mean, my mom panicked. She was like, oh, crap. She's going to end up killing herself. She's going to end up going fucking crazy and end up in the psych ward for life.
Yeah.
Like, she was certain imminent death was right around the corner. My dad, he just kind of was like, no, just don't. Dad doesn't really talk much about that kind of stuff. He was just like, that just sounds like a really bad idea. My sister is a nurse practitioner. She thought that was a terrible plan as well, but she's also employed in the healthcare system, and what they are taught is that cannabis, for them, it's pot, weed, marijuana, call it what you will, but, what they are taught is not that it's a good thing. They are actually, taught the exact opposite. So what my whole family learned over the course of, I think now it's been 3, almost 4 years, is that if there was anything on the planet that could have saved me from myself at that point, it was this.
Absolutely.
It was cannabis.
Absolutely.
And so now I have a whole bunch of huge cannabis supporters back home in a state where pot's completely still not legal, and you can get huge fines for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even my grandparents, my grandmother, it's been really interesting. They've all become believers over the last few years, just because they've seen what I went through before I was on pot cannabis, whatever, before I
Yeah.
was smoking, what I went through was so much worse. And this was truly the only thing that saved me. Like,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
honestly don't think I'd be alive. I truly,
No.
for as much, like, I was doing a bunch of illegal drugs, like I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about anything. You get to a point where you're just so far done with living this life that you just want it over. And so many times you can sit there and either pray for the courage to end it or just hope that something's going to change. Like that's where it was at. It was like you get to a point where you're just praying for the courage to end it because that's really all you've got left.
Wow, you know, one of the big things I've learned during this podcast is the average number of suicides in America a day for veterans, and it went from 22 to sorry,
It's appalling.
it's unbelievable,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons we're doing this podcast is to raise awareness about that. And I've talked to a lot of Americans who aren't veterans, and I say that number to them, and they just don't know what to say. It's like they haven't heard it before, and you think that there'd be alarm bells going off across the country.
And for us,
Yeah.
like in the veteran community, we're well aware of it.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't have to know the number. What I know factually is that I've been out of the Army now since 2008. I have lost more of my fellow soldiers, my brothers, my
Absolutely.
sisters. Like, I'm talking just ones that I was deployed with and knew personally.
Yeah.
I have lost more of them to suicide in the last, 7 years, 8
Mhm.
years,
Yeah.
than we lost while we were boots on ground and they were pulling missions. So, to lose more later on to suicide than you did while you were there fighting a war.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. And so many people don't know. They really,
No, they
honestly, the American public, like the general public,
They're
does
not
not know.
aware of it. No,
That's got to change.
it does.
That's got to change. You're in Colorado. I know of two organizations there, Veterans for Natural Rights and Veterans Farmer Alliance. Have you heard of any of those two?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Yes.
good friends with both of their founders.
Yep.
Matt and Steve.
Yeah,
Great guys.
absolutely. Yeah, they're incredible. Matt is in the documentary with me, and Steve is headed out
You
there
and,
this weekend
you
for
and
another
Matt
ceremony.
did ayahuasca together.
Yeah, Matt and I did ayahuasca together for the first time.
He just helped facilitate pushing a huge movement
Oh my
here in
gosh.
Colorado. Like he almost
He lobbied and got PTSD added as a qualifier for Colorado's medical marijuana program.
because up
He
until
was one of the determining factors for it becoming passed.
literally up until just a few weeks ago, even though it's legal in the state of Colorado to smoke pot, use pot, however you want to classify it, it's legal here. Medically, there are a lot of restrictions yet, and it definitely has put a huge damper, I think, on how we view it medically. But
Yeah.
as a qualifier, PTSD was not on that list to get a medical license.
Yeah.
What were chronic pain issues, cancer. There were several different things, but in a hugely populated military state, PTSD was not on that list until the likes of Matt Cahill came in and showed them otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely fantastic. I'd love to, if you guys are willing, to have you two, Matt and Steve, all on a podcast together. And
Oh, that would be
That would be
wonderful. That'd be awesome.
yeah, we'll
I'm.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I'm open and willing to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Like I really want to follow their organization's dates and what they're planning to do, and that's a huge accomplishment for Colorado. And thank you, Matt Kale, for working your ass off to get that approved.
No kidding.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, he was just one of a number of instrumental people that got that through.
But at the same time, not tenacious.
His tenacity.
Yes.
You know, it's just amazing to see the fire that was lit in him.
Yes.
After his ayahuasca ceremonies. He also had a chance to go to Peru after going to Soul Quest in Florida, and was able to do more ceremonies, more work and healing there, and is part of another documentary for that. And so just incredible work.
Oh, his family.
His family, oh, just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wonderful people.
Yeah, I'll send you my podcast with him. His story is absolutely amazing. Well, I'm sure you know it, but
oh yeah, it's an incredible. Now see, his story, I would say, is an incredible story. Yeah. Well, absolutely.
Hey, don't sell your story short though.
That's just part of who I am.
A modest man. I really enjoyed your guys' story. Like I said, I'd love to have you back on. Anything you guys want to say before we get out of here?
Thank you. We really appreciate this opportunity to have our voices and our story heard. And you know, I just hope that through the process of all of this, more people are made aware of the fact that plant medicines can heal, they can help, they can save lives. They have a purpose, and it's not the pills, the chemical formulations. It's what already exists in nature that is gonna help us and heal us, and cannabis is one of those many things.
How much sense does it make to take a medication with side effects on the label that literally say may cause suicidal thoughts, may cause suicidal tendencies, may cause anal leakage, may cause decreased sex drive?
Right.
Like, oh, but guess what? On that note, your blood pressure is going to be great.
But in America, we jump on like nothing. We're like, oh, sign me up. All right, lower blood pressure, great.
Is it like a minimal risk?
Yeah.
Because that seems reasonable.
Yeah, but yet we turn a blind eye to these plant medicines that have been used by cultures for thousands of years, if not longer, that are truly healing people, that don't have any scientific backing because our government will not allow it to be explored.
Do you guys butt heads on your method of use of medical cannabis, or do you pretty much use the same method?
I have to use indicas and concentrates.
I can't do that.
And she has to use sativas.
My sativas are important, but we actually treat separate issues.
Yeah.
I get depressed. I get anxiety. I get too much in my own head. It's never a good thing to be there too long. And so with sativas, it really helps to pull me out of the funk. They're very motivating most of the time. Most sativas, I love the racy ones with a bit of energy, that motivation, you know. So I'm more on that side of it. And then at night, I'll use indicas to help kind of just treat the body aches and pains that come with being a combat veteran.
Yeah.
And Mike, on the flip side, though, sativas kind of make you paranoid and kind of angry sometimes, depending on what they are.
Yeah, they can make me angry, anxious, paranoid. So it's an interesting thing, you know. They have to be tailored to the individual, which is part of the difficulty. But if someone is willing to figure out how to heal themselves from a war using conventional methods, pills and psychiatry and all of those methods, and delve into that and the time and effort that it takes for that, then there's no reason that they can't also delve into figuring out what works best for their body, and in turn learning more about themselves through the process and finding healing through that. It's a very interesting path. That
it's a long process.
It's a long process.
It is, but it is so worth it.
Incredibly rewarding.
Once you figure out what strains work best for, you can literally get to a point where you're like, well, I'm in a pretty fucking shitty mood right now. I better go smoke something that's going to calm this down, or I am going to blow up. So that's what you do. You go to what we call the medicine cabinet, and we select, which strains work best for those symptoms at that time. Give me something happy. Give me something not too heavy. I don't want to be sedated. I just want to be able to shake off this just funky mood.
Yeah.
And is it like a trial and error to find what you need, or is there a lot?
It is a trial and error because it's so new. Because it
is at first. It definitely is.
Yeah.
But once you start to dial in what works best for what things and what symptoms, then it becomes easier and easier to seek out what you need and to be able to pick up the seeds that, hey, let's order this because these seeds are going to work really well for these symptoms and, this, that, and the other.
And there are also, in our amazing technological age, there are so many resources out now that didn't exist years ago, just a few years ago. Leafly is one
Leafly.com.
site.
Actually,
you can go on there and type in what symptoms you want to treat, and it'll pull up all of the strains. Or conditions.
It even lists PTSD now as a condition. Yeah. So what it does is, through a bunch of algorithms that it's got, it will tell you which strains of pot will quite possibly help you more than others.
Yeah.
And I've used that. I used it a lot in the beginning. I relied on it a lot.
Yeah.
Now I have found that because of the guidance that I actually got from that, I can really dial them in pretty well without having to look them up too much and stuff like that. But at the same time, like the resources available to us now are pretty amazing, especially when you consider that, even people back where I live, a state away from here, they have no idea that Leafly.com exists and that Weed Maps exists.
Yeah.
That you can be sitting in the middle of Colorado Springs and be like, oh, which dispensary is closest to me? And Google Maps it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pull it right up on your computer.
Yep.
See the list of what they have in the dispensary right there. Scroll through their menu.
You don't even have to go in the store.
Yeah.
You can literally see everything they have just from the internet, from your phone, right there in front of you, and go, oh, I want to try this strain because that sativa is supposed to be really good for this, this, and this, so I'm going to give that a shot.
Yeah.
And you walk in, you buy it, and you walk out.
Now all we need is drive-thrus.
Exactly.
There you go. It's coming.
It'll be here. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
Well, Mike and Brooke, this has been absolutely fantastic. I'm really happy you came on and can't wait to have you back on.
Excellent, Jesse. Thank you so much.
Oh, really appreciate it.
No problem. This is an excellent story. This was the Vapes4Vets podcast brought to you by Namaste Technologies. Just spoke with Mike and Brooke Cooley. Can't wait to have them back on. And thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You as well.